Namaste everyone, welcome back to CodeCraft with Poonam. I'm your coding mentor Poonam Agrawal. So now coming to our controller layer, okay? Here, so this is our controller layer, okay, where you can see that it is annotated, this class is annotated with at the rest controller at the request mapping. So here at the REST controller handles the HTTP request. Okay, and then here we have this at the request mapping, which is nothing but this is our base URL. Okay. So here this at the rate restaurant controller is nothing but it is the combination of the at the rate controller and at the rate response body. Okay. And here this at the rate request mapping is our and here at the rate request mapping sets our base URL. So every endpoint in the class starts with this base URL. Okay. And then here you can see this field, okay, that is our private finals recipe service, okay. And this is our constructor injection, okay, that is public recipe controller, okay, where we are giving this recipe service, okay, recipe service. This dot recipe service is equal to assigning this with this recipe service, okay. So here we have a same dependency injection pattern, okay. So the controller needs the service and Spring injects it, okay. So this is same like what we did with our service layer. Okay. So here the waiter gets assigned a chef. Okay. So here you can notice that the controller has no reference to the recipe repository. So here the waiter never goes to the pantry directly. Okay. So it always go through the chef. That is nothing but our service layer. Okay. So now coming to our get method, okay, that is get all recipes. So here you can see we have annotated it with at the rate get mapping, okay. So to get all the recipes, so here we have public response entity, okay, that is nothing but list of recipes. It will return the list of recipes, okay. That's why here we have mentioned this response entity, okay, and get all these recipes. Here you can see that I have annotated inside this method we have this at the rate request param where required is equal to I have mentioned false, okay. So with this is nothing but it is optional, okay. So here whether it is required or not you need to mention true or false. I have mentioned is false, that is this is optional. We have base URL slash API slash recipes. Okay. And then when you give a name, question mark name is equal to some paneer. Okay. So here what you are doing is in the URL, okay, you are specifying name of a recipe. Okay. So whatever name you specify, it will search for that, search for, so it will search for that. Okay. So here you can see that here we have at the rate path variable, okay. That is this value is part of the, so in the path variable what we give the value, okay. So this is part of the URL path. This is our base URL, right? Slash API slash recipes. But here we are providing the path variable which is nothing but value, that is slash one. This is our ID, okay. And similar with the slash API slash recipe, this is our base URL, okay. So here we are providing the value, that is by giving the category, and in category we are providing dessert here, okay. So that is slash API slash recipe slash category slash desserts. So here the category is nothing but our dessert, okay. So here we are giving the value, right? But here in request param, the value comes after question mark here. You can see this one question mark. But in at the rate path variable, we are providing the value, uh, we are providing the value after slash, okay, directly, okay. And then in, but in request param, we need to provide the key and value, okay. So here you can see that slash API slash recipe, this is our base URL, right? After this we are providing the question mark and then key and value, that is name equal to paneer. So this will search for the paneer, okay. So here now you can see another example, okay, that is slash API slash recipes. This is our base URL, right? Now slash quick question mark max minutes is equal to 40. So this is our key and this is our value, okay. Value, okay. So here this at the rate path variable is for identifying a resource. Okay, so here what we are telling that give me recipe number one. Okay. While this at the rate request param is for filtering. Okay, so here we are saying that show me recipes named called paneer. Okay, and then here we have another method that is get recipe by id here. Okay, so here you can see this I have annotated with at the rate get mapping, and here you can see that I have provided this one slash curly braces inside this id. Why? Because here we are getting the recipe by id, so here this takes the id. Okay, when you provide the url, okay, there if you mention the id, then it will map. Okay, so here you can see that public response entity recipe get recipe by ID. So here you can see that here I have mentioned that at the rate path variable long ID. Here in previous method here I have used at the rate request param. Okay. But here we are using by ID directly value we are providing, right? So that's why here at the rate path variable long ID. Okay, and then inside this will return optional. Okay, so optional recipe is equal to recipe service dot get recipe by id. Okay, so this will return recipe dot map. So here we are using java 8. Okay, so recipe dot map, here recipe dot map. In this you can see that response entity, this is our method reference. Okay, so here okay is nothing but this will return us 200. Okay, if you have found the recipe by id, okay, then it will return the response as 200. Okay, if it is not found, then it will return the status code for the not found. Okay, so here this response entity gives us the control over the http status code. Okay, so response entity dot okay, here it sends the 200. Okay, that is okay, right? And response entity dot not found method, this will send us 404. Okay, so here similar with this get by category. Okay, here we are providing the category, and then here this one get vegetarian recipes only. Okay, that's why here we have provided this one vegetarian. So this is of, so here this is of type boolean, right? So and then coming to our another method that is get quick recipes. Okay, so here you can see I have annotated this method with at the rate get mapping, and here I have provided the that is colon, that is slash quick. Okay, so if you in the url, if you provide this with our base url, then this will give all the quick recipes. Okay, so here in this we have a method that is public response entity. Okay, here you can see it is a question mark, and then this is our get quick recipes. Here I have mentioned at the rate request param. So here we are providing this one key and value. So here at the rate request param default value is equal to, I am providing the value as 30 default value. Okay, and here it max minutes. So here I am using this try catch block. Okay, for the exception handling. So here you can see in try block I have this one that is list of recipes, where we have quick recipes that is equal to recipe service dot get quick recipes, that is maximum minutes here. Okay, and this will return the response, that is response entity dot okay quick recipes. That means this will return us 200 status code. Okay, for the quick recipes. And then here if any exception occurs, then it will be handled by our catch block. Here it will give that, so here it will throw that illegal argument exception. Okay, so here what response we are returning, that it is a bad request. Okay, and in the body we will provide the error message. Okay, so here what we are doing is here you can so here you can notice the two things here. That is, first here we are providing that at the rate request param with the default value as 30, right? So if you call this our base URL with this URL, that is slash API slash recipe slash quick, then without specifying any maximum minutes, it defaults to 30. Okay, so when you for example, when you call this our base url, that is slash api slash recipes, with this url, that is slash quick and question mark with providing key and value, okay, that is max minute something equal to other than this value, default value, for example 45 minutes, okay, then what this will happen, it will override the default value, okay. So, and the second thing is that the our try catch block. Okay. So here the service throws the ill. So do you remember that in our service layer we have thrown the new illegal argument exception, right? So for the valid input. So here the controller catches it and converts it to a 400 bad request HTTP response. Okay. So here the controller handles the HTTP. The service handles the business rules. So this is a class separation, right? And then we have this get recipe count. Okay. So here also we have annotated with get mapping count. We need if we want to know the count how many recipes are present, then this will gives us. Okay. And then here you can see this our post mapping for the add recipes, okay. So, to add a new recipes, so here at the rate post mapping public response entity, here also you can see question mark add recipe, this one at the rate at the rate request body. So here you can see that in this method for the add recipe method, here we are annotating it with at the rate request body, that is recipe, okay. So here we are using try catch block. In service layer we are throwing the exception, right? So to handle that, here in controller layer we are using try catch block. So here in you can see that recipe saved recipe. So here we are adding the new recipes, okay. And when a new recipe is added, it will gives us the particular status code, okay, with the body, okay. So that will be handled by our catch block here, okay. And it will return the response entity, that is bad request, and it provides the body with the proper message, okay. So here we have used at the request body, right? So this tells Spring that read the JSON from the request body and convert it to a recipe object. Okay. So here Jackson does this automatically. So if service accepts the recipe, that is, if it is created, then you will get the status code as 201. Okay. So if any business rule fails, then the service throws an exception. So this controller will catch it, okay? And it gives that 400 bad request, okay? So here the controller is just a thin layer that translates between the HTTP and Java. Okay. So, this is for today's video. If you liked my teaching, then do let me know through comment and hit the like button and share it with your circle so that it will be helpful to them. And do not forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon so that you will not miss any of my videos. Till then, keep learning, keep growing. This is Poonam Agrawal from CodeCraft with Poonam signing off.